There's a specific kind of frustration that happens when you're standing in a shoe store or scrolling through pages of shoes online and nothing feels right. Everything is either too casual or too formal, too young or too orthopedic, too trendy or just too much. And you end up leaving with nothing or worse. You buy something that looked promising and it sits in the box for 3 months because every time you go to wear it, something feels off and you can't quite explain what. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know it's not you. It's not your taste and it's not your age. It's that most shoe advice out there is either aimed at a 25-year-old or it swings so far in the other direction that it treats comfort like the only thing that matters after 60. And neither one of those is actually useful. What actually works, what genuinely looks elegant and feels good to wear all day, is a much shorter list than most people think. 5 shoes. That's it. Not 10, not 20, not a whole seasonal wardrobe refresh. 5 specific styles that consistently hit that intersection of comfortable, elegant, and versatile enough to earn a permanent place in your closet. That's what this video is. No filler, no fluff. Just 5 shoes and what makes each one work. And if that's the kind of content you're looking for, practical, specific, no nonsense, it's worth subscribing before we get into it. That's genuinely what I try to make here every time. All right, let's start with the shoe that does the most work of any on this list, the low block heel. If you only ever take one thing from this video, let it be this. A well-chosen low block heel is the single most useful, elegant shoe a woman over 60 can own. I know that might sound like an overstatement. It's not. This shoe does things that almost nothing else in the shoe category can do simultaneously. It elongates the leg, it adds polish to an outfit, it lifts the whole silhouette. And it does all of that without the instability or the foot pain that comes with a traditional stiletto. Let me explain why the block heel specifically works so well. A stiletto concentrates all of your body weight into a point roughly the size of a pencil eraser. That's why your feet ache after an hour, why your ankles feel unstable on anything other than a perfectly flat surface, and why most women gradually stop wearing heels altogether as they get older. Not because they don't want to wear them, but because the payoff stopped being worth the discomfort. That's a completely reasonable conclusion to reach. A block heel changes that equation. The wider base distributes your weight across a much larger surface area. Your foot is stable, your ankle isn't working overtime to keep you upright, and you can actually walk and stand the way you normally would instead of slightly bracing for the next uneven bit of pavement. The difference in how you carry yourself when you're comfortable versus when you're managing discomfort is enormous. And that difference shows up in every photo, every interaction, every moment of the day. The height sweet spot for most women is somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5 inches. Low enough that your posture stays natural, high enough that you get the visual benefit of the lift. That slight elevation is what creates the lengthening effect in the leg. It changes the angle just enough to make the lower leg look longer, and the whole silhouette look more upright and pulled together. Now, let's talk about what to actually look for when you're buying one, because not all block heels are equal. And there are a few details that separate a shoe that works from one that just looks like it should work. First, the heel itself should be genuinely square or rectangular at the base, not tapered. A tapered block heel starts to behave like a stiletto as it narrows toward the ground. It gives you less stability than the shape implies. Run your eye down the back of the heel when you're in the store. If it widens clearly from top to bottom and sits flat, that's what you want. Second, the insole matters more than most people check for. Press your thumb into the ball of the foot area before you buy. It should have some give to it, a little cushioning that tells you the shoe was built with actual wear in mind. A completely rigid insole in a block heel is going to be uncomfortable within an hour, regardless of how stable the heel is. Third, the upper, the part that covers your foot, should be leather or a quality leather alternative. Fabric uppers on block heels tend to stretch, lose their shape, and look worn quite quickly. Leather holds its structure and actually improves slightly with wear as it softens and molds to your foot. For toe shape, both rounded and slightly almond work well. Both are comfortable across different foot widths, and both read as current rather than dated. What to avoid is a very square toe on this style. It can look heavy and dated on a block heel in a way that it doesn't on other silhouettes. Now, color. Your most useful first block heel is nude or tan, a tone that sits close to your natural skin tone. The reason this color works so well is that it doesn't create a visual break at the foot. The eye travels down the leg and the shoe blends in just enough that the line continues. The result is a longer looking leg, which is exactly what a heel is supposed to give you, but the nude color amplifies that effect significantly. A black heel at the end of a neutral outfit creates a stop. A nude heel lets the line keep going. Black is your second most useful color. It grounds the outfit, it works with almost everything, and it reads as polished in almost every context. If you're starting your block heel collection from nothing, get the nude first and the black second. A warm metallic, gold, or bronze is worth having as a third option eventually. It adds a finishing quality to evening and occasion outfits that a neutral shoe doesn't quite achieve. But it's a third purchase, not a first. Let me walk you through two real outfits so you can actually picture what this shoe looks like when it's working. The first outfit is a simple one. Tailored straight-leg trousers in warm ivory or cream, a fitted black turtleneck, a tan or nude block heel. That's the whole outfit. No statement necklace, no complicated layer, no bold bag. Just a simple gold earring and that's it. This combination looks like you put real thought into it. You didn't. The block heel is doing the finishing work at the bottom and everything above it is clean enough to let it land. The second outfit is for a slightly more dressed occasion. A midi dress in a soft floral print. Something with warm tones in it, nothing too busy. A fitted ivory blazer over the top. A nude block heel. This works for lunch, for a wedding as a guest, for a garden party, for a daytime event where you want to look put together without being overdressed. The heel elevates the dress without competing with the print, and the blazer gives the whole thing a structure that keeps it from reading as too casual. Before we move on to shoe number 2, I want to ask you something quick. Do you already own a block heel? And if you do, what color is it? Drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what most people are already working with before they find a video like this. It helps me understand what to focus on going forward. Let's get into shoe number 2, the pointed toe flat. The misconception is that flats are a compromise, that you wear them when you don't want to deal with a heel, when comfort wins over style, when you've given up on the outfit looking particularly elegant. That's not true. But it is true of most flat shoes, just not this one. The pointed toe flat is one of the very few flat styles that actually does something for the silhouette. And the reason comes down to one simple thing: the shape of the toe. When a shoe ends in a rounded toe, the eye stops at the foot. The line of the leg hits the shoe and terminates, and that termination makes the leg look shorter than it is. It cuts the lower body off visually at the foot in a way that works against the whole outfit. This is why a lot of round-toe ballet flats, even expensive, well-made ones, end up looking slightly frumpy. It's not the quality, it's the geometry. A pointed toe does the opposite. The eye follows the line of the shoe forward, past where the foot actually ends, and the leg reads as longer as a result. No heel required. Just a change in the shape at the toe. It sounds like a small thing. It is not a small thing. It genuinely changes how an outfit sits on the body, and once you start noticing it, you'll see it everywhere. So, what should you look for when you're buying a pointed toe flat? The first thing is that the point should be a real point, not an almond, not a slightly elongated round toe that's being marketed as pointed. Look at the shoe from above. The toe should taper clearly and come to a defined point at the end. An almond toe is a perfectly good shoe shape, but it doesn't give you the same lengthening effect. If you're buying specifically for that visual benefit, make sure you're actually getting it. Second, the profile of the shoe should be slim. A pointed toe flat that has a thick sole or a chunky overall construction loses the elegance entirely. The whole point of this shoe, visually and literally, is that it's sleek. A heavy version of it is just a confused shoe. What you want is something that looks almost like it has no business being as comfortable as it is. Clean, low, slim, pointed. Third, material matters more with a flat than with almost any other shoe style. And here's why. A heel gives an outfit structure and presence. A flat has neither of those things working for it. So the only thing left to carry the elegance is the quality of the material. A pointed toe flat in genuine leather or quality suede looks like a considered choice. The same shape in a thin, plasticky material looks like a budget decision, and it reads that way from across the room. This is a shoe worth spending a little more on. Pointed toe flats have a reputation for being uncomfortable, and sometimes that reputation is deserved. The issue is usually that the toe box is too narrow. The shoe tapers so aggressively that it squeezes the toes together, even when the overall length is correct. When you try these on, pay attention to the widest part of your foot, not just the length. There should be room there. The taper happens in front of your toes, not around them. If you feel any pinching across the ball of the foot when you're standing, that's not a fit that will improve. Move on to the next size or the next style. Black is the most useful pointed toe flat you can own. It goes with almost everything. It grounds any outfit it's part of, and it reads as polished without drawing attention to itself. This is a shoe that disappears into the outfit in the best possible way. It finishes things without competing with anything. Nude or blush is your second most useful color, and for the same reason, it works in the block heel. It extends the line of the leg rather than stopping it. A nude pointed flat under a midi skirt or wide leg trousers creates a continuous visual line that makes the lower body look longer and leaner. It's a small optical adjustment with a real impact. A bold color, a deep red, a cobalt blue, a forest green is worth considering as one pointed flat in the wardrobe if you're someone who likes to use a shoe as an accent. Done well, a single bold shoe in an otherwise neutral outfit is one of the most sophisticated moves in dressing. It looks intentional in a way that a bold bag or bold jewelry doesn't quite achieve, because it's unexpected at the foot. Avoid pairing this shoe with very casual bottoms like sweatpants, athletic leggings, or anything with an elastic waist. The formality mismatch between a sleek pointed flat and casual athletic fabric is jarring in a way that reads as unfinished. And as I mentioned with the fit, if the shoe is pinching anywhere, don't wear it. Discomfort changes your walk, and your walk changes how every outfit looks on you. No shoe is worth that trade-off. Shoe number 3. The classic loafer. The loafer is the most interesting shoe on this list because it's the one that genuinely works across the widest age range. It appeals to the viewer who wants something classic and understated, and it equally appeals to the viewer in her 30s who wants something current and modern. That's a rare overlap in footwear, and it's worth understanding why it happens. The loafer has been around long enough to feel classic, but it's also having a genuine cultural moment right now. The silhouette is everywhere, on runways and street style in everyday wardrobes across age groups. And the reason it's resonating so broadly is that it sits in that particular sweet spot between dressed and undressed that most people are actually dressing for most of the time. Not formal, not casual. Just intentional. Put together without being stiff. For women over 60 specifically, the loafer offers something that a lot of other shoes don't: structure without a heel. It has a defined shape, a clear silhouette, and a quality of looking considered, like you chose this shoe rather than defaulted to it. That sense of intention is a big part of what elegance actually is in everyday dressing. It's not about being formal. It's about looking like you thought about it. What to look for when buying. The profile should be slim. Not fashion slim, just not chunky. A very thick-soled, exaggerated loafer is a specific style statement, and it's a perfectly valid one. But it's not the versatile everyday loafer we're talking about here. What you want is a clean, relatively low-profile silhouette that can move between different outfit types without announcing itself. Leather is the best material for a loafer. It holds its shape, it polishes up well, and it ages nicely. A good leather loafer actually looks better after a year of wear than it did in the box. Suede is a beautiful alternative for fall and winter, but it requires a little more care and doesn't handle wet weather as well. For a first loafer, leather is the practical choice. Fit note: loafers tend to stretch slightly with wear, particularly in leather. If a loafer feels just slightly snug when you first try it on, but the length is right, that's usually fine. It will ease. What you don't want is slipping at the heel, because a loafer that doesn't grip the heel will never feel secure no matter how broken in it gets. Some styles come with a small elastic insert at the back to address this. If you're between sizes, that detail is worth looking for. Black is your most versatile loafer and the one to start with. Cognac or tan leather is your warmest and most useful second color. It works particularly well with earth tones, warm neutrals, and denim, which covers a significant portion of most everyday wardrobes. A white or cream loafer is a strong modern option for spring and summer. And one of the cleanest, most current combinations you can build right now is a white loafer with a neutral outfit. It sounds simple because it is, and simple is almost always right. Avoid very thick platform loafers with delicate dresses or skirts. The weight at the foot fights the lightness of the fabric, and the outfit loses its coherence. And avoid wearing a classic loafer to genuinely formal occasions. It has an inherent ease to it that doesn't always suit black tie or formal event dressing. It's an elegant shoe, but it's not a formal shoe. That distinction matters. Before we get to the last two shoes in part 3, I want to ask you something. Of the 3 we've covered so far, like the block heel, the pointed flat, and the loafer, which one do you feel like you could actually see yourself wearing most? Not which one is objectively the best. Which one actually fits your life and your wardrobe as it is right now? Drop it in the comments. I find those answers genuinely useful when I'm planning what to make next. We've covered the low block heel, the pointed toe flat, and the classic loafer. 3 shoes that between them can handle the majority of what most women are actually dressing for most of the time. But there are 2 occasions those 3 don't fully cover: warm weather and the colder months. And that's exactly what shoes 4 and 5 are for. Let's get into it. Shoe number 4, the strappy sandal. I want to start by saying something that sounds obvious but apparently isn't, based on how often I see it go wrong. Not all sandals are the same. Not even close. The difference between a sandal that looks elegant and one that looks like an afterthought is almost entirely in 2 things: the strap design and the material. Get those 2 right, and a sandal can be one of the most effortless, elegant shoes you own. Get them wrong, and even an expensive sandal looks like something you grabbed on the way to the pool. So let's talk about what actually makes a strappy sandal work. The straps should be slim. Not necessarily delicate to the point of fragile, but slim. Here's why this matters more than people realize. A thick strap, particularly a thick ankle strap, cuts across the narrowest point of the lower leg and visually shortens it. The ankle is where the leg tapers before it meets the foot, and that taper is part of what creates the appearance of a long, lean lower leg. A thick band across that point interrupts the line. It's the same optical principle as the rounded toe on a flat in the eye. Stops where the visual break is, and the leg reads as shorter as a result. A slim strap, by contrast, sits lightly on the foot and ankle without creating that visual interruption. The line of the leg continues cleanly down to the ground, and the sandal feels like a natural finish to the outfit, rather than a statement piece competing with it. The heel height for everyday wear should be flat or very low, between 0 and about 1.5 inches. A completely flat strappy sandal is elegant when the straps are right and the material is good. For occasions where you want a little more lift, a low block heel or a small kitten heel version of a strappy sandal works beautifully and gives you a little more presence without sacrificing the comfort of the style. Material. Leather is the best choice here too, for the same reasons as the loafer. It holds its shape, it ages well, and it reads as quality in a way that synthetic materials generally don't. For a strappy sandal specifically, thin synthetic straps have a tendency to look slightly cheap, regardless of the price point, because the material doesn't have enough substance to it. Leather straps, even very slim ones, have a weight and a finish that reads as considered. Now color, and this is where the strappy sandal gets interesting. Gold metallic is your single most versatile strappy sandal investment. I know that might sound counterintuitive. A metallic seems like it would be limiting. But gold actually works with an enormous range of outfit colors. It works with neutrals, with warm tones, with jewel tones, with white and cream, with earth tones, with most prints. It adds a finishing quality to an outfit that a nude or tan sandal doesn't quite achieve. It catches light in a way that makes the whole outfit feel more complete. If you only ever buy one strappy sandal, a gold flat or low-heeled version in leather is genuinely one of the most useful purchases you can make in footwear. Silver metallic is equally versatile but works better with cooler tones: gray, navy, soft blue, lavender, cool white. If your wardrobe runs cooler in color, silver might actually be more useful for you than gold. Tan or nude is your most everyday option. Lower visual impact than a metallic but works as